I want to be a testament to show people that you could have a career in the arts. And more specifically in film, I think we do children and young people like injustice to think still to this day that they cannot make a living in any other thing except for what is considered mainstream. When these companies come in, we are literally on the same level.
Yeah.
Because really and truly, you know your show and you know your production and what you're doing, but you don't know how production works here, or you don't know how production works in Grenada, you know how production works across the Caribbean, and I'm the person that has to tell you that.
Is it possible to build a high-impact business without sacrificing your well-being? The Island Woman podcast is the companion to Caribbean founders and leaders who are replacing hustle with authority. Hi, I'm Dianne N Squires, aka Dianne, an island woman and founder of Dianne N Squires Consulting. Let's explore how to sharpen your voice, target your visibility, and maximize your economic impact, all through the lens of a big and simple life. Welcome to the Island Woman podcast. Our guest today is the wonderful Kerri Birch, who is the co-founder of 13 Degrees North Productions, a film and television production company that she runs with her husband, Kirk. And Kerri says she is living her dream, having worked in a male-dominated industry for the past 20 years. So, Kerri, it is absolutely wonderful to have you. Welcome to the Island Woman podcast.
Thank you so much, Dianne. Thank you for inviting me.
You are most welcome. So let's jump right into it. If you could strip back the 20 plus years that you've had in this industry to one big ambition. You know, we talk about big ambition and simple living here. One big ambition and one simple ritual or practice that keeps you grounded. What would they be?
All right. So starting with the big ambition, that would really be to have multiple Caribbean productions being done by my company throughout the year, all year round, like a proper slate of productions being done. So not the little social media clips, not just short films or anything. I'm talking features, I'm talking TV shows. I would love my company and the industry to be. I've worked not just here in Barbados, but across the Caribbean. So like working with teams across the Caribbean on these different productions. That's my big ambition. Production all day, every day.
And then the simple ritual or practice that keeps you grounded, because that's a lot. But what keeps you grounded?
Just expressing gratitude. I would admit way earlier in the game that was a constant thing for me. Expressing gratitude even for things before, they happen. And kind of also like knowing within myself, I can make my dreams come through. So writing down things, I have books at home with, list of things that I wanted that I have now. So the attitude of gratitude. And somewhere along the line, like life happens and stresses and what's not. I kind of veered away from it, but I would say of late being like 2 years now, I've come back to that, attitude of gratitude. I really feel like you should be thankful. You should be thankful for everything, even the trials and tribulations, because without blockades, how do you get stronger? How do you learn?
That's interesting, Kerri, because I was wondering who else, like what other companies are similar to yours? Who else does the kind of work that you and Kirk do, either here in Barbados or in the Eastern Caribbean? Are you not one of very few?
We are one of very few, but sometimes how it is when you are one of very few is like you're kind of fighting to keep things going. You're fighting to get, that job. However, with me, and I would say both Kirk and I and 13 on the whole, our attitude also is there's enough work for everybody. So there's enough work out there for all of us. So even when I say, like, I want us to be doing Caribbean productions all year round, I know that just because we're doing Caribbean productions, that our competitors wouldn't be doing, the same thing, which can only bode well for building the industry, right?
Absolutely. Well, you talked about living your dream and working in a male-dominated field, but I'm interested to know like how you use your voice. So you've been on big productions like Vogue and Below Deck. How do you use your voice on a set to ensure your expertise is not just appreciated, but used as a standard of excellence? Do they listen to you?
I'm going to say use my voice quiet. I am naturally a quiet person. And I think my leadership isn't allowed and boisterous leadership type. I am the person behind the scenes kind of making everything go. So I am the person that's checking in on, I'm very detail oriented. I'm checking in on every department. I'm checking in probably on every person most of the time. So for me, I think an important thing in having your voice heard is to have confidence in yourself. And, the more you do something, the more your confidence builds up, the more you know your value and your worth. And it's very integral to not forget your value and your worth. So, for example, you mentioned Below That, and I've explained this to some other people as well.
Yeah.
The reason our is an international company based in Barbados. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Correct. So we have expertise that people want. So when a team is coming from overseas, they need us. They need me for a particular reason. There's no reason for me to think that I below them. There's no reason for me to undervalue myself, because if they didn't need me, they'll just come and do it themselves. And
Yeah.
probably they could, but they probably wouldn't do it as well because
Yeah. Or as quickly.
Exactly. So typically what I find to be very interesting in working in this field, and especially being one of the few companies to do it, and one of the few companies also to be doing it to the standard and the I'm going to say the heights that we're doing it to, is that when these companies come in, we are literally on the same level.
Yeah.
Because really and truly, your show and your production and what you're doing, but you don't know how production works here, or you don't know how production works in Grenada, you don't know how production works across the Caribbean. And I'm the person that has to tell you that and pull it all together so you can get, the job done.
Yeah. I was going to say, and to your point about the quiet leadership and the confidence building over time with the experience, I'm sure that when they land and they start to work with you, it's evident that you know what you're doing. So you don't have to be loud and boisterous and get that right away that you know what you're doing.
Exactly. And asking the right questions as well is very important. It even starts like from the initial contact with emails, and you're asking the right questions, and sometimes we're all humans. Production is very chaotic, and all of us in it think we're crazy for doing it. But there might be things that an overseas producer might forget, and then I'm reading what they're sending through, and I'm like, oh, but what about this? What about this? Everybody need this, and that sort of thing. We had a production late last year where something as simple as just scheduling the timings of getting from one place to the next here in Barbados, was a thing, and they thought, oh well, it's a small island. We don't need 2 hours to get. We don't need 2 hours in the afternoon when it's a school day to get from the south of the island to the north of the island. I was like,
no, people, traffic.
And when they got there, they were like, oh my goodness, you were so correct. It's like, yeah, I live here.
So let's think though beyond like you finding locations and the people and planning routes and all of that. Tell me about the impact that you want your work to have on the people across the Caribbean, because you want to go Caribbean wide.
So I think it's twofold. The first thing is understanding that film as a part of the creative economy is the industry is a viable livelihood for people. And I'm going to say film/production because obviously there's film, but there's also TV productions. There's also, commercials, etc. I think we do people in our societies, I think, and across the Caribbean, I think we do children and young people an injustice to think still to this day that they cannot make a living in any other thing except for what is considered mainstream. So we tend to tell them veer away from the arts because the arts is not going to make you money. It is a hobby. And I want to be a testament to show people that you could have a career in the arts. And we're specifically in film because film is something totally different. At the end of it is like when we are producing a film, the amount of money or production, the amount of money that has to go into it, sometimes people can't wrap their brain around it to make this thing that is at the end of the day is very intangible. But I want to be that poster child to say this is something that you can do and it could take you far. And then on the flip side of that, I want to tell stories. So it's also not just about people coming here to the Caribbean, telling their story or telling their version of our stories.
Yeah.
People want us to be telling our own stories. And the only way to really to do that is to do it. And I want, again, people coming up to understand that they also can tell their own stories as well. And they have brothers and sisters across the Caribbean. Sometimes our stories are so universal across the things that we will sit down and talk about. Sometimes there are these memes on Instagram where people go, I saw one, a Grenadian was saying, you're from Grenada if somebody asks you if you thought as a glassmaker.
Yeah.
And like, do we have the same shared experience across the whole Caribbean? Because here in Barbados, we will ask you, you thought to work at Oran? Oran is a glassmaker. Also, it's just like telling our collective stories.
Yeah.
I want to tell, because these stories go down in history, and I want us also to be telling our history on a different medium as well. My 13 started as a company that wanted to do documentaries. I'm not saying we still don't want to do documentaries, but that was our main focus at the time because we realized there were so many stories in Barbados that younger people did not know about. Like they didn't know we had a train line. Some young people even know we have a place called Culpeper Island, or there is a place called Culpeper Island, they should say.
Yeah.
So, those things are important to me. The conservation of history, conservation of our being, the conservation of our culture.
So you don't only want to help people use our islands as a backdrop for their stories, but for us to have those stories come out of our own experiences and our own traditions and our own, or really our lived experiences here in the islands. I think that's really important.
Correct. And I want us to also realize that we can connect with these people who are coming to the island, tell their stories or to do their productions and use them as a connect for the outer world, basically.
Right.
So, like they have connections. They already have, they're coming here. They're making films and TV shows. So they have, their hand on the button to maybe distribution and that sort of thing. They also have, we could learn from them. They could tell us how to make even our own ideas a little better,
Yeah.
So my thing always has been as well, don't also think of people coming here as taken away from us. I think we should take away from them.
Yeah. So it's kind of a symbiotic relationship where both parties need to benefit. And you have to be intentional about making sure that you have a plan in place for getting the information you need to get from them because they're certainly using you and your talent.
Yeah. And like you said, anything is once they realize that you know what it is you're doing, and then people want to work with you. Then they start telling you. The last show we did in Nevis, we got a ton of advice from one of the people there, like because we were saying, hey, we might want to do a show that is like such and such, and the guy thought, well, that's a really great idea. You should pitch that too. And then he told us like who to pitch it to and that sort of thing. And it is because you're working with the people and again, you're meeting them where they are and you're meeting them where you are doing. And again, knowing your worth and knowing your stuff and they're going to see it.
So for anyone out there who might be listening and they want to have a career in film and video, television production, young, old, or in between, tell them, are you having a good career?
I am having a good career with film and television. The truth about it is that there are going to be some downtimes. There are going to be times, and this is across the world. This isn't a Caribbean thing, or this is just across the world.
That's a business thing too.
Exactly. So there's going to be the time where, might be working straight for 3 months, and then you might not be doing something for 3 months.
Yeah.
And for me, it is using that downtime to take the time to kind of pour into the things you want to develop. So we are, developing our own original content. So that's the time to pour into that, because when we have a big shoot that comes in from the outside, then all of that planning goes through the door for development because you're on that.
Yeah.
So it is good to utilize that time wisely.
Yeah. And I mean, you keep saying we, and so let's talk about you working with Kirk, your husband.
Yeah.
I know people have mixed feelings about couples working together. You know how married people work together, or boyfriend and girlfriend work together, and whether or not that's good or bad for the relationship. So I want to ask then, is there like a single boundary or something that you put into place to make sure that your marriage remains strong while your ambition for the business continues to grow and the business grows as well? So that gets big, but your marriage and your relationship remains strong. What boundaries are you putting in place?
I think, to be honest, like, we're still figuring it out. It is crazy working with your partner, your life partner, your husband, because one, you're basically seeing them all the time, which is one thing. And then there's also the idea of, and I guess this is one of the boundaries, really shutting it off. Because if we're in the office and we're doing work, and then I go home, they work hard, and I am a tired girl. I tell everybody this a lot. I am a tired girl. And then, sometimes Kurt might come up with some idea, and it's like 8 o'clock in the night, and I'm like, respectfully, let's not do that. So, it's like knowing when to cut. But also at the same time, there are times when, depending on what is you're working on, that cutoff time does go past for ordinary time that you will cut off. But there's that. There is, I can really feel like we figure it out every day as we go along, having to remember that this is a person, again, still, that you have to go home with.
Yeah.
So you might, if you're in the office with some people, you get in a argument with workers, right? Well, it's like, what were you saying, Beijing, da for let chi or da for let eat, right? Because I'm going home. But when I go home, it's Kirk. He that I just get in this.
Exactly. You just had a tiff with him and you have to go home with it.
To me, you also gotta be mindful of that, which I think is a good practice too, because then you get to practice that with other people, in the office as well. Because if you could be mindful to not speak a certain way with this person because you're going home with them, then you should be mindful not to speak a particular way with other people, because it's, it might be hurtful. But I will say it is enjoyable. I would say we're very lucky to be working together in an industry where it is hard, even for people to have relationships when their partner doesn't work in the industry.
Yeah.
Like you find a lot of time is people who don't work in the industry don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of long hours. So the idea will be where, like, for example, where are you going, getting out of bed for days on end at 3 o'clock to
At
leave?
3 a.m.
And then I don't see you, again, until you come home and I'm already in bed, maybe. And that's hard on a lot of couples, especially who don't work in the same industry. So we're lucky in that vein because we understand what it takes. And I like the idea that we are building this thing together. Mm-hmm. Like where we're sitting down, we're planning, and this is what we want, and we could look back on it, when we are older. Our empire.
I love it. We did that. And you could tell the kids and the grandkids, or the nieces and great nieces and nephews, did it together. Yeah. So I want to talk now about, we talk about balancing this big ambition, and you clearly have huge ambition for the business, but also balancing that with well-being, right? Because I think it's, and especially in your industry, important to stay well, to stay working. So let's put your ambition and your well-being on a scale, right? This scale is from 0 to 10. So let's talk about this big ambition, right? If we put your drive to make the business into a multi-million-dollar global business on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is, no, that's absolutely not my mission. And where 10 is, yes, that is my absolute life mission. Where are you on that scale?
Okay, so where am I on the scale, as in to say that is my ambition?
Yeah. Is it a 0, as in it's kind of not really my ambition to make it a big multi-million-dollar business, or is it my absolute life mission? Where are you along there?
It's my absolute, I am at 10.
I
am at 10. If I want to be generous, I am 5. I mean, like, so let me explain this.
Yes.
When I was in secondary school, I wanted to be an actress, right? But I can't act anything but a fool. It's all the time. But I was always very interested in production and movies and, that sort of thing. So I, like, from 14, this has been a dream of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I used to talk about this before, but now I talk about it all the time. I used to imagine myself having interviews with Oprah. Oprah will be interviewing me because we're big. And I'm the biggest, like, interviewer. So I had to. So that's why I am up there. It never stopped. It never. So when I tell you that I wrote down things, when I was 14, 15, I wanted a studio. I wanted to be doing productions. It's just a way it was like, I had a studio set up, as in we would be producing, we would be casting, we would be doing everything. And I even had places in Barbados earmarked to be my studio. This building was one of them. Girl.
Yeah, you had it all planned. And actually now you're realizing the dream. You think the dream is now even bigger than you thought? Or you're on your way there. Where are you with the dream?
I don't think it's bigger than I thought. And I think it's because as we keep working, like, nothing is impossible. A lot of people discuss, like, how, when you do things for Bravo, or, you do Vogue and that sort of thing. And they're wondering, like, so how do you feel? Like, we just did Victoria's Secret. I don't know if you saw. So we just did Victoria's Secret, and they released the other half of the campaign late last week. And so people will go like, how do you feel doing Victoria's Secret? And really, it feels normal. It feels like what we do. And I think that's a good place to be, because if it didn't feel normal, then, it might be overwhelming. And that is where I might feel like my dream is too big. Yeah. But it's like, I do this all day, every day. So it's
Yes, I love that. Okay, so let's go to the well-being scale now. Mm-hmm. So if you think of your current sense of, like, personal freedom, time to do things that you really love outside of work, and you put that on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is, not balanced at all, everything is out of whack, and 10 is, I'm perfectly harmonized. Where are you on that scale of well-being?
Not 10 for sure, not perfectly happy. Not a 9, not an 8.5. I'm somewhere around 5 and a 6. I used to be under 5. Wow. I used to be under 5. It was really bad. I think I took a hard look at my health 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. Because it wasn't good. It wasn't good. And the stress and me not taking care of myself was manifesting and showing up in all these different ways. And then when you see these things manifesting and showing up, then you start to feel a little depressed and overwhelmed by it. And then that doesn't help the situation, because it only makes it worse. And I think when people talk about getting to the point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yes.
I got to that point where I was sick and tired. And I actually went on a program. I actually started a program to, like, eat better and that sort of thing. And funny enough, it was happening close to Christmas, and I would have had to do it through Christmas. Yeah. And that was on my brain. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that because it's Christmas and, I like my food. But at the same time, it was like, if you were serious about your well-being, and if you think about the Kerri of the future and what she's doing, what she got going on, then this Kerri no has to be doing better or not. I may not even get to that Kerri, in the future.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I had to take a hard look at that. So I'm doing a lot better.
So from under 5 to a 5/6.
So 5/6 means 6.5.
Okay.
I mean, other people might think
we'll give it to you because you look good.
I feel like
so we add a 10.
A 10.
And then we add a.
These are 6.5. This is for well-being, like 6.5, but heading really quickly to 7.
Yeah, I like that attitude. So let's talk now a little bit more about your visibility, but through teaching and for the next generation, or for those people who are interested in the industry that you love so much. You say that you have taught introductory video at Barbados Community College. Why do you think it's important for those young people to see you not only as somebody who's working in production, but somebody who is a leader in the area?
I feel it goes back again to giving young people options in what they choose to do for a living, having the visibility, and also offering young people opportunity to come on set, or because we've taken interns as well at 13, they get to see that film is a wide range of things. So it's not the person with the camera, it's just not the director, they're the seamstress, there is somebody building props. There's somebody buying props, there are drivers, there's catering. They're all different roles that people have to play. And I think it becomes a real eye-opener to what they themselves could do and how they could fit themselves into the realm of film. And, I am very big on passing on education, passing on information, and are actually embarking on a schools program.
Tell me more.
So it's called Once Upon a Frame.
Once Upon a Frame.
Yeah, it's called Once Upon a Frame. And it started out as a tribute to Seanathan Chase, who was the 13-year-old who was shot in last year, March. And one of his tutors, an author called Mario Herbert, he was teaching kids to write short stories. And Seanathan was one of those kids. And he wanted to do a tribute for Seanathan, and he asked us if we would work with him to adapt this short story into a film. And we were like, of course. And the more we thought about it, the more we felt like this could be something bigger where we could impact more, where we could use his life and impact more kids. So what we've come up with is a program called Once Upon a Frame, where we're going into primary schools first. We're going to teach kids to write short stories, and then we're going to take those short stories and adapt them and have secondary school students shadow the production crew, basically. And we want
beautiful. Wow.
Here. Right now we are in our fundraising stage. We have written 3 of the scripts written because we're doing 4, but we're doing 4 scripts based on the stories that were written from before. Because what it was, he published a book. So all the kids became published authors, which I think is pretty. So we are going to be taking 4 of those stories, which is inclusive of Seanathan's story called The Kite Heist. And we're going to be looking to produce those in the summer, the hopes that we're able to release it on CBC and YouTube in November, basically, in time for independence.
During independence in Barbados. Oh, that's beautiful, Kerri.
Yeah.
And I mean, well, you said you're trying to source funding. So do you want to say here how people can contribute if they wanted to contribute or donate to the cause? Is that what you're doing, or you're looking just for corporate and government sponsorship?
We are looking for corporate and government sponsorship.
Yeah.
And even I could say here that even with corporate sponsorship coming here from Barbados, and even if it is a donor that wanted to get in contact with us, our email is info@13northpro.com. That's info 13 degrees pro.com. What happens is once you come on as an investor, say in this particular project, you could claim it back in tax.
I was just going to say you can claim on registered cultural productions here in Barbados.
Barbados. Once your business is domiciled in Barbados, once you are a resident who is paying tax in Barbados, you can actually claim back 100% of what you put in.
So for those of you who are in the audience who would love to be able to contribute or get more information, I'm going to be sure to put Kerri's and 13 Degrees North Productions, their contact information in the show notes and in the YouTube description so that you can reach out.
Yeah,
right? Kerri, thank you so much for using your big voice in the film and TV industry, for being visible to those young people and showing them what is possible, and for creating the awesome impact that I know you already are through the work that you're doing and through this wonderful project that is now coming on stream. For you out there who are listening or watching, thank you as usual so much for your support. If you watch this on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up. If you have listened or watched on Spotify, on Amazon Music, on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. This is going to help the podcast to grow and for us to bring more guests like Kerri from across the region to you. So thanks a lot. And until next time, see you soon. Peace.